I'm very sorry to interrupt, but there is a young lady by the name Holmes outside wants to see you. She says that she urgently needs your help. I fancy she has an interesting case for you.
Of course, bring me in.
Come in.
Good morning, gentlemen. May I have a seat, please?
Yes, of course.
Good morning, madam. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my intimate friend and associate, Dr. Watson, before whom you can speak as freely as before myself. Mrs. Hudson, will you be a dear and bring our guest a cup of tea, for I observe that she's shivering.
And for me also a cup of tea.
I'm afraid it's not cold which makes me shiver.
What then?
It is fear, Mr. Holmes. It is terror.
You must not fear, Mrs. Stone. For we shall set matters right, I have no doubt. Now, I see that you've come by train, haven't you not?
How did you know?
It's elementary, my dear Watson, for I can see the other half of the return ticket in her slipping from her pocket, and the 7 mud stains which are clear and indicate that she has come by the first train from Waterloo. Am I right, Mrs. Stone?
That is actually true. The family was at one time one of the richest families in England, and the estates extended over everywhere. Unfortunately, over the last century, heirs were of a dissolute and wasteful disposition, and the family ruins fell into the hands of a gambler in the days of the Regency. Grimsby Roylott, who had to adapt to the new conditions, took a medical degree and went to Calcutta. There he met my mother, Mrs. Stoner, the young widow of Major General Stoner. My sister and I were only 2 years old when my mother remarried. Shortly after we came back to England, my mother died, and Dr. Roylott abandoned his attempts to establish himself a practice in London.
It seems that the doctor saw the practice as extra work, and the money that your mother bequeathed was simply enough for a normal life.
That is true, but some terrible change came over him, and instead of making friends and exchanging visits with our neighbors, he shut himself up in the house and seldom came out, save to indulge himself into ferocious quarrels with whoever might cross his path.
Please do explain.
Well, it is easy for me to be so. For every event at that dreadful time, it is seared into my memory. Till this day, I remember her coming out of her room, screaming for help, and she also gave me this blank sheet of paper, which means something I don't know.
Pray, be precise as to details, madam. All right, so why did she give you this paper? Did she have any reason? Did she meant anything?
No, although she said that she heard a metallic clang and whistle.
Please, can you say anything of her untimely death? Was it poison or some other kind of liquid?
No, they didn't say anything. They didn't know what had happened to her. They just assumed that it was a mental breakdown or some other kind of a mental disease.
Was it?
No, of course not. Even though we lived with horrible men, we were still perfectly healthy, physically and mentally.
I see. Well, we would be honored to investigate your sister's death, madam. And we would be very much obliged if we could come to your home and search for more clues which could help our case.
Yes, of course. You may come today, for my father said that he would be in the city today.
That's great, madam, isn't it, Watson? Watson? Where the bloody hell did he went off to? Mrs. Hudson?
Yes, sir.
Where did Watson go?
He said he would walk down to Doctor's Commons and will be back shortly.
Did he give any explanation?
No.
I see. All right then, Mrs. Hudson, will you be a dear and escort our friend out, for it is time she leaves.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I will pay you for your services as soon as I find out what had happened to her.
No worries, madam. I do my work not for the requirement of wealth, but for the unusual and the fantastic.
Of course.
Where is Holmes?
My name, sir. That you have the advantage of me.
I'm Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran.
Indeed, doctor. Pray take a seat.
I shall do nothing of the kind. My stepdaughter's been here. I've traced her. What has she been saying to you?
It is a little cold for the time of year.
What has she been saying to you?
But I hear the crops promise well.
You try to put me off, don't you? But I know who you are. You're Holmes, the meddler. Holmes, the busybody. Holmes, the jack in office.
Ha! Your conversation is most entertaining, my good man. But will you please close the door on your way out, for there is a decided trouble.
I will go when I have had my say. My stepdaughter's been here. I've traced her. I'm a dangerous man to fall foul of, Mr. Holmes. See that you stay away from my grip.
Watson, where have you been?
I was talking with Mr. Dr. Robertson. I found something interesting about the late lady's will.
And why didn't you inform me?
Well, you were having such an intriguing conversation with Mrs. Stoner that I didn't want to interrupt.
Proceed.
I found in the will that she left about £1,100 in the will. But due to falling economy, it has been near short of £750. And if one of the girls were to marry, it would cripple Dr. Crispy Gorlat's economy. And he would be short and broke.
Right. Very good, Watson. It seems the money's working has not been wasted after all. That man came over me. He had the ignorance to indulge me into the official detective force. Can you believe it? Yes. Well, we should take a cab and drive to Waterloo at once. For this is too serious for Bob.
Are you sure you would like to interfere with some man with such great strength?
That's why, Watson, I would be very much obliged if you would slip us any number 2 into your pockets. For that is an excellent argument with gentlemen who can throw blacksmiths over parapets. But one thing, Watson, one thing that always bothers me is in my head. I can't understand why did the poor sister leave this? What does it mean? It's some kind of letter or... Where is the iron chloride?
It's over there, Holmes.
Very strange. There's the speckled band. But what does it mean? What does it mean?